I was told I could take this out. Oh, God. I like to punch myself in the face with the microphone. Shows that I'm a pro. One more time for Marina. That was a great story. I loved hearing that. That was really great. Mine? I don't know. But so let's flash back to that magical time. We'll call it 1993, right? And I'm a production assistant, and I'm working on AT&T's Perestroika campaign. Do you guys remember Perestroika? Yeah, that went well, didn't it? Well, yeah, it was. So it was during that shoot that I got the call. Sam, it's Bridget from Wyndham Hill. Are you available? A huge job just booked, and I need you. We're shooting this weekend. And I told her, I said, and Bridget she was cool. She was a production coordinator that I worked for a lot. But I told her, I said, I'm sorry, I can't do it. I'm doing like 100 hours this week on AT&T. I started another job on Monday. I'm exhausted. I need to sleep this weekend. I can't do it. To which she counters with, would it make a difference if I said it was David Bowie playing 6 songs on a sound stage without an audience? I hate you. Like, I hate you with every fiber of my body. Which Bridget was like, oh, that's great. So you'll do it? You'll do it? I'm like, what? Like I have a choice? Right? I mean, come on. There's those artists, right? If you get the call, the Stones, Springsteen, Madonna, Prince at the time, right? If you got the call to work with them, like, you went, right? But I never got that call. No, the call I always got was things like expose or cats in boots, right? With, spelled with, Z's and K's, right? Cats in boots. I'm sure you were all huge fans, Or the Spin Doctors, right? Those were the calls that I got, right? And this was Bowie, right? This was David fucking Bowie. And my one experiencing David Bowie in concert, I don't even know if he was there, right? Because I was literally sitting in the very last row of the furthest point from stage in a baseball stadium, right? So who knows who was there? Like, the video screens were so small back then that it was like trying to watch your neighbor's television from across the street, And what Bridget said is, she goes, imagine it's going to be like a mini private concert for the crew. So, yeah, instead of getting the desperately needed sleep that my body was calling out for, no, instead, there I am, Saturday morning, 6 a.m., Hollywood Center Studios, stages 8 and 9, I'm sorry, historic stages 8 and 9. Historic for what? I don't know. But it was really just one big stage. And, but whenever people heard that you were shooting on 8 and 9, they go, oh, you're with the really big psych, right? Which, a psych, it's a cyclorama. It's like the swooping molded back walls of studio. It's the most common thing. It's like sound stages. It's the most common thing in all of Hollywood, other than cheating on your wife and STDs. But the thing was, it was but people always flipped out about it because it was these they were basic, but they were just really big. And it was okay, whatever. Because, there I am, it's 6 a.m., I'm with a group of production assistants, and we're gathered around the production desk with Bridget, and we're all getting introduced to each other, right? And it's Sam, Bill, Ted, Kim, Leslie, Steve, Shark. What? It's literally standing there was this one guy who, imagine all the worst parts of a deeply humorless Aryan youth poster child who is standing there going, "My name is Shark." And we're like, "Oh, really? Well, look at the time. It's already crazy o'clock." Because look, on every shoot, there was always one. Always one. And on music videos, definitely. And Shark was ours. But, Bridget wasn't having it. She was like, "Nice to meet you, Christopher." And then right into telling us what the day was like. And what was going on is, she says, David Bowie has a new record coming out this week. It's called Black Tie, White Noise. But he's decided not to tour. So these videos, this series of videos that we're shooting here this weekend, is the entire promotion he'll be doing for the whole record, right? So it's kind of a big deal of what's going on. And she says, we're going to shoot 2 of the songs on the cyc. It will be painted white, and the director envisions it in being in black and white, which didn't matter to us. We weren't shooting in black and white, but it was still kind of cool to know. They would do it in post. But then she says, and then the other 4 songs will be performed on a very special stage that David has had constructed especially for this. And I'm starting to think like, wow, wait, David Bowie, special construction, Ziggy Stardust, Spiders from Mars, all those things. And I'm thinking, this is going to be like some mind-bending, like just twisted, otherworldly piece of architecture. Definitely not a set of risers and some velvet curtains, which is exactly what it was. And I'm standing there and I'm like looking at this thing going, really? Like this? And I mean, other than David Bowie, the fact that he would be performing on it, like, again, like the cyc and the stages, it was just the most basic thing out there. But it wasn't like they were paying me for my artistic vision. I mean, they were barely paying me at all. And what I was there to do was to work. And work is what I did. We all just imagine a day, it's 18 hours long, where 100 people are working like crazy, doing everything it takes in order to get, a stage to come to life. And it was sometime around, I guess, well, it had to be 6 o'clock, because there was this commotion going on over at the production desk. And I look, and I see Shark is there, and he's saying to Bridget, "What do you mean I don't get overtime?" And Bridget's looking at him like he's a madman, because he is. And she says, "I'm sorry, but no one pays PAs overtime." And that was the thing, no one did. This was like long before the IRS and the labor board started like cracking down on Hollywood. So you got your flat rate whether you worked 2 hours or 28 hours, and it was always 28 hours. Oh, God, I hated it. But the thing is, he looks at her and he says, "Well, I value my time. And if I'm not being paid OT, then my day ends at 12 hours. And he gathers up his stuff and he leaves. And I'm stunned. I'm looking at him like, all right, Shark, good on you, man. Way to take a stand, my brother, I loved it. I mean, he was never going to work again, right? Because we all work through word of mouth. And you can't recommend a guy like that because you can't. People, it reflects poorly on you. And, I kind of envied him because I dragged out of there at midnight, just exhausted and soaked with PA juice. You don't want to know what PA juice is. But unlike Shark, I was back the next day, the shoot day, right? And the place was packed. We had double the amount of crew there that day, and you could just feel the buzz, like it was humming. And it was sometime around 2 o'clock in the afternoon that David Bowie arrived. And I saw him. I just caught a glimpse of him. It was in the far corner of the stage. The door opens, there's Bowie, and he gets swept right upstairs to the dressing rooms. And it was about an hour later that I hear come across the walkie-talkies. It's the first AD, and he goes, "We're ready for David on set." Nothing. Dead silence. Call comes again. And again, nothing. And I'm looking around and I'm like, I don't see the second AD anywhere. So I just click on, copy that, flying in, and I go upstairs to the dressing rooms to collect David Bowie. And I go upstairs and I'm walking down the hallway and I see the hair and makeup people, they're standing there and they go, oh, David's in the dressing room. And I turn and then there he was, standing right in front of me, the thin white Duke. And I gotta tell you, man, you wanna talk about, I think, just tall and thin and chiseled and impeccable. And he was wearing this like really beautiful, like burgundy turtleneck and a pair of pleated khakis. Like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't say it, but I'm looking at him like, man, it just does not compute in my head. It's like a short circuit is going on. I'm like, David Bowie's wearing pleated khakis? Like, what the? You know, but quickly, like, then I realized, like, he's not alone, right? There is a woman with him who, well, two things about her. One, she was very much not Iman, his wife. She was what you would call a manic pixie dream girl. Like, they were like holding hands. And I was looking at it a little crazy, and then I found out later it was his assistant. But the two of them together, like their energy, they were like excited little schoolgirls. And David Bowie is clutching this girl's hand, and they're like, oh, let's go to set. And I'm like, what? Like, enough with the pleated khakis, but now you're like a giddy little girl? Like, come on, David, don't kill the dream. And they just kind of take off, skipping down the hallway to go down to stage. And I'm right there with them. So we get downstairs, and the next thing I know, like, I'm huddled with David Bowie and the director and the first AD, and the director's starting to explain to David what we're doing there today. And he's like, David, over here, you see, we're gonna have the stage lit with this beautiful, shimmering Art Deco lighting. And I know what Art Deco is, but I don't know what Art Deco lighting is. It just sounded like bullshit that you hear all the time, right? And he's like shimmering, and David's nodding along, and he's going, oh, sure, 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 I get it. Very classic look. And they go on about it, and they talk it through, and they're gonna move the risers around for each song and make them a little bit different. But then they turn when they're done with that, and there's just a wall of blackout curtains that have been erected, like large Duvetine curtains. And the director gets very serious, and he goes, David, behind this curtain is a cyclorama, the largest in all of Hollywood. You've seen many of them, but none quite like this. And David's like, yeah, man. And he goes, and we have painted it the most brilliant shade of white you have ever seen. And David's like, yeah. And he goes, oh, it is magnificent. It is like this swooping wall, just this immense sea of white. David, I ask you, are you ready? And David just goes, show me. Open the curtains, and the curtains swing open, and David Bowie takes one look at it, and he goes, fan-fucking-tastic, man. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm standing right now. I'm like, did I just see what I just saw? Or whatever. And I look at the first AD, and he's like bugged out just as much as I am. We're both like 12 years old now. And we're like, did that happen? He's like, yeah, man, that happened. That was cool. And I'm like, I know. And it was crazy. It was just ridiculous. And we started laughing. And I got to tell you, I worked 40 hours in 2 days on that job. But when we started shooting, And I was standing there right next to camera as David Bowie sang and danced and belted it out, song after song, take after take, one after another, with the band, and just going off and getting to stand there literally 10 feet away from David Bowie, going full Bowie, what he was put on this earth to do. I gotta tell you, man, there is only one way to describe it. It was fan-fucking-tastic, man, and worth every exhausting second. Thank you all so much.